right, it is time now for our bloggers to weigh in on this discussion. We have got Gina Cooper, Vanessa Van Patterson, Fausta Wertz, and Aaron Caro joining us live via webcam. Greetings to all of you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So we have a very interesting situation here in that it was actually a childhood friend of Savannah who essentially tattled on her former friend, saying that Savannah had given her this ibuprofen. What do you think about whether that is enough, just that suspicion by the school that somebody may have given out these prescription medications, just a suspicion? Is that adequate for the school to conduct a strip search here? Gina, let's start with you.
Well, you know, I come at this from the perspective of being a former teacher, so I completely understand the need to give school administrators the authority they need to protect students and to create a safe learning environment. But what we're really talking about here is that, you know, are we willing to basically sacrifice injury to kids in the name of zero tolerance? You know, are we willing to, again, sacrifice injury of kids to, you know, protect adults with poor judgment? Because, you know, obviously, you know, we're talking about a degree of possible offense here. I mean, ibuprofen's a little bit different than, say, heroin. But even then, you know, were the parents called? Did they give the parents the opportunity to do their job and say, hey, if you have this ibuprofen, you need to cough it up, or, you know, you need to admit to this? And instead, you know, with no one present except for school officials, you know, this child is having to be strip searched. And
well, exactly, yes, strip searched, essentially made to stand there in her underwear and even shake that underwear to show that there was nothing actually in there. I mean, Vanessa, obviously, you really focus on parents, on the rights of parents and the rights of kids. Tell us what you think about whether it's ever appropriate for a child of this age, an 8th grader, to be strip searched.
I think absolutely not. I mean, teenagers feel like they go to school, they want to have those boundaries, they need to feel safe there. And also, and kids say this themselves, if they're going to find a way if they want to get drugs into school. So strip searching them or taking away their rights or making them feel unsafe is not going to help. And it's going to make parents feel very uncomfortable. Can they trust the schools if they send their kids to school and they might be strip searched?
All right. Well, Aaron, I'd like to pick up on the point that Gina was making about the fact that this was ibuprofen. Nobody was accused of distributing heroin, for example, here. So is that the big difference?
I'm still trying to a prescription drug. Isn't that aspirin? But I have to agree that in no way is having a strip search, it's completely overblown, not necessary. If you really think something's wrong, you lock the kid in a room and you call their parents and have them come down. It just seems like they're taking this way too far. And it wasn't for anything good either. You know, heroin or a gun or a knife. I mean, maybe open their backpack, but a couple of Advil. I mean, again, I think you got to call the parents.
Okay, well, you talked about opening the backpack there, and Fausta, actually the Supreme Court has already decided back in 1985 that opening a backpack without a warrant, that is acceptable. That was seen as somewhat diminishing students' rights, however. So where do you feel, Fausta, the line should be drawn? What is an acceptable level of intrusion?
Opening backpacks is fine because you're not impinging on the person's own privacy, on their own physical person. As a mother of a high school junior, if my child were to be searched in his person, such as any kind of strip search like this girl had to endure, I would insist on being there myself and probably in the presence of an attorney too, but I would not justify a strip search of my child for any reason without my being there to be able to be his advocate or, for that matter, his parent.
Right, we don't want to see the student being left vulnerable, essentially, to intrusion. Okay, thank you very much. Stand by, everybody, for just a second, because we want to go now to Reggie. Reggie, you got some comments flooding in, I gather, from people on Facebook and Twitter and on Your Voice.
Yeah, Nemo, this is actually from our Twitter page, and it looks like so far, at least these comments are all in agreement. We're going to start with this one that says, One-Man Media. His comment is, I'm trying to imagine the shock I would go through as both a student and parent. We don't pay property taxes to be searched. Going to move on down now to the Guerra Show, who says metal detectors should be used when necessary. And then this one from FKR70, who says schools should not be able to do anything beyond a pat down. I really don't even think they should do pat downs. So we have yet to find a comment, at least here on our Twitter page, where someone is advocating for what the school system apparently is trying to argue in the Supreme Court case.
Yeah, Reggie, you're absolutely right. We have heard the experts saying that, boy, does the school have a tough road ahead here. We've also got some people weighing in using our Your Voice button. Let's bring you one of those comments now. This is from Carolyn, who writes, I think the search could have taken place with her guardian or parent having been contacted, or either in agreement or there during the search. So it looks like Carolyn there agreeing with one of our bloggers, Fausta, that it's really important to have an adult present when something like this takes place. Now, Gina, I just want to get back to you, because you talked about the experience of being a teacher, and obviously you have to make these decisions based on factors that are constantly changing. There's presumably no sort of set examples that you can follow every time. Do you have any empathy for the school's position? It sounds like most of the people who are weighing in do not.
The empathy I would have with the school's position is, I mean, let's think about it. Why is it that we are putting schools in the position of having to do police actions in the first place? You know, granted, ibuprofen is not something that's against the law, so it's even something beyond that. But it seems to me that more and more we're putting responsibilities on schools that are way beyond what their primary purpose is, which is to educate children. And I think that that's something else that we need to think about. If there's truly criminal activity going on in schools, then we need some other kind of presence. We need, I mean, that's justification for a police presence, or it's justification for some sort of other type of security, but certainly not the people who are supposed to be teaching and nurturing our kids to create this sort of hostile environment where there's fear, as opposed to this, you know, openness to learning. This is what we really want and what teachers really need to be able to be successful with children.
Right. I mean, the school does put forward the argument that there were real problems with drugs at the facility. I don't know whether any of you think that that makes any difference, that the school was essentially being put in a very hard position here of wanting to protect the students and taking radical measures to do so. Fausta, perhaps you want to weigh in on that?
Well, there is a drug problem in all of society, definitely. Many schools have the problem, and yes, there is a need for security. However, translating that into having a student search, particularly a 13-year-old girl or boy, strip searched without the knowledge of their parent to begin with, just because another student said that she gave me the pills, is an outrage. I think every parent and I think every adult who cares for their children should be outraged about this having been done.
Right, it certainly started from a pretty alarming point. All right, would like to thank Fausta Wirtz, Gina Cooper, Vanessa Van Patterson, and Aaron Caro all for joining